So pulling back, we're starting to talk about specifics about vineyards. So let's broaden this a little bit. So for those wondering what the wine industry and real estate market looks like in Southern Oregon, can you take us through, from kind of a big picture perspective, what the wine industry and the real estate market looks like in Southern Oregon?
We're going to separate into a couple different categories, break it down a little bit. So we already talked a little bit about this idea of lifestyle versus commercial.
Sure.
Then we have your typical lifestyle is what I'll call a vineyard estate.
Okay.
Where you're pretty much hands off, but you get to look at your property. You get to look at your pretty vineyard. You get to see people, and maybe you have a little label or something that you do over at a custom crush facility, but it's a passion deal. It's not necessarily for profit. We probably see more of those transactions than any other type of transaction based on the available inventory in the market here. As we switch gears into a little bit more of the commercial on the business side, I'll say we have boutique production vineyards where you have a 20-acre vineyard, and I'll still call that boutique, but it is more on the commercial side, and it may not have anything else on it. It may just be a vineyard, and they're producing 4 tons to the acre, and they're selling the fruit, or maybe they're taking some of it to bottle. You also have, I'll call, a boutique level, and when I say boutique, I'm defining boutique as they are very much serving a niche. It's a passion project. It's still a business that they're seeking to be profitable in, but it is very much on this kind of family level.
Gotcha.
You'll also have some boutique level vineyards that are attached to just a tasting room, potentially a home as well in that mix, but you have production of vineyard, and then you have this customer interface where you're selling your product out of a tasting room. You may have some events. And then you'll also potentially at that same kind of boutique level, that family level, have vineyard, tasting room, and winery on site.
Okay.
And that's a little less common because winery generally kicks you more over into like a true commercial side. But we do have some of them here. We've been involved with a couple of those types of transactions over the years, but they're not a lot.
Gotcha.
Now, on the commercial side, so that's kind of the boutique, the 3 levels of boutique after your lifestyle, pure lifestyle. And then you have your commercial vineyard, which we don't have a lot of commercial vineyards in Southern Oregon. You have a lot of commercial vineyards in Oregon as a whole, but we don't have a ton here. And when I say commercial, I'm talking 50 acres and up or something of that range, where you're not just going to be a mom and pop farmer. Like, you need to have a certain skill set and resources. Otherwise, it's going to potentially own you.
Sure.
And then you also have commercial where you have vineyard and winery and potentially tasting room as well, but it's a larger scale operation. It's truly a business. The buyer of that property likely is very much bottom line profit kind of oriented, or at least opportunity oriented, where it may not do that today, but it has the opportunity
sometime in the future,
with some inputs, to get there.
Yeah.
So that's, and so again, to kind of go back through, vineyard estates, there's the most of.
Yeah.
Then I'll call them boutique production vineyards is probably the most readily available product. And then when we get into properties that have tasting rooms and wineries, and whether it's boutique or commercial, it's a very limited supply.
And part of that limited supply comes from that these are like legacy properties, right? So most of the brands here in Southern Oregon are still with the original founders of that brand.
Gotcha. So there's not a whole lot of turnover.
There has not been a lot of turnover. There's been a handful or two of wineries that we're aware of that have sold in the past 10 years down here. But besides those, most of the original operators are still operating.
Wow.
And so
it's pretty impressive, actually.
It's very impressive.
And a lot of these properties will also transact off market.